Grace and peace. Welcome to another episode of the TBT Show. I'm Anthony Moten. My friend and brother and partner in crime, as always, is the Right Reverend Elder Shawn P. Aguilar. Shawn, how are you?
Fantastic, buddy. Excellent.
What?
Outstanding.
What?
Which are all synonyms for better than I deserve. Yeah, there you go.
I knew it was coming. Man, good to be with you guys again this week. So much going on in our world and country. I haven't been feeling the best. I started going down Sunday. I don't know why, because Sunday was a relatively good day. Mm-hmm. Because my Lakers, under the leadership of LeBron Ramon James, beat the 2-seeded Memphis Grizzlies. I'm just saying that even in older age, leadership matters because he could still lead a younger team to victory.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Goldish qualities is all I'm saying. Just goldish qualities is all I'm pointing out.
Goldish qualities. Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean,
whatever that means.
Because I'm saying there was another seasoned professional guy on a younger team in, upper years. I think it might have been year 17, 16. Michael Jordan with the Washington Wizards. He wasn't leading that team anywhere. I'm just saying. Yeah, if you look at the...
he did lead the Chicago Bulls to 6 championships. That was kind of... That happened.
I mean...
There's that, though.
That's all we're going to talk about? Just...
You brought up LeBron.
Because we're talking about...
I can send you a video where this dude... I can send you a video where LeBron celebrates a layup where he wasn't even fouled and is flexing. And the dude doesn't even get a foul.
Talking about year 20. This guy's in year 20.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Hey, talking to this guy's like talking to a stop sign.
Hey, buddy. I mean, it still doesn't change. It still doesn't change the facts. It still doesn't change reality.
Okay. In my head, he's the greatest for a lot of different reasons. One of them is
that's great. That's the only place that exists.
Okay. That's good enough for me.
That's it.
That's great. Good enough for me.
I'm happy for you.
Hey, one of the reasons is his finances, what he's been able to do with money. Because people just don't give you money.
That's true.
Unless someone says something about you that isn't true.
That's true.
Then they have to give you a great sum of money.
They have to give you a lot of money, buddy. Yeah, you got to be careful just throwing these accusations out there. Fox News and Dominion Voting Systems have reached a lawsuit in a high-stakes defamation case. Oh, my goodness. As reported by CBS News, because obviously you're not going to read too much about it on Fox News.
Of course not.
But Dominion, they ran the machines that are used to count the votes. Okay, well, Fox News went around saying that, of course, it was a stolen election, from their buddy Donald Trump. And so Dominion said, hey, buddy, I mean, you're going to have to prove it in court because by you saying that, you diminish the trade value of Dominion.
Right.
So it's one thing to play the dozens and go back and forth with somebody with some your mama jokes. Does that make sense? That's one thing. But when you say things that have ramifications in the marketplace,
right.
Does that make sense? They can change stock prices and values of companies and all kinds of different stuff. You can't just say whatever you want to say without being able to back it up. According to the Dominion attorney, the truth matters. He told reporters outside the courthouse, lies have consequences. Well, in this case, they sued for $1.6 billion. And in order to avoid going to trial, Fox News settled it out of court for the small sum of $787.5 million. Hush money.
So And $800 million later, a tore up Capitol Hill, multiple charges, and like it still isn't true. It still isn't true. Like so, and like we live in a country where almost anything is possible. That's very, very, very unlikely. Always has been.
Right.
Always will be.
Right.
That, that you're going to have a stolen or flipped election. It's going to be a very small percentage of, possible votes that could be, like he said that they were using, and that was one of the Trump tales. Dead people were voting.
Right. People were voting twice. Dead people were voting. They're switching the votes from Trump to Biden. And his defense was, well, wait a minute, I was up at 9:00. So if there's one thing that we know from observing the wide world of sports, it's that, once a team gets ahead, it stays ahead. Of course not.
Never.
That's not automatic.
Right.
Right. Especially when, a lot of what's reported earlier on kind of favors, the Republican candidate.
Right. Because of how we vote and then the order in which votes are counted.
Right.
Here's my question. Because $800 million, somebody has to get fired.
Oh, there's going to be some budget cuts over at the Fox News Corporation, buddy.
At what point, like, if
graphics are about to get downgraded,
it's going to look like Nintendo over there.
Yeah, exactly. We can't do this no more. Oh no, you got to.
I just thought of something. You remember Martin when he did that that show? He had to do a demo for it when he was trying to get hired at the TV
for the
station.
TV show. Yeah,
that's what it's gonna look like. When you're a legitimate news, like, do you just say stuff like that?
Well, what Fox has tried to hide behind in the past is that they have the real journalists, which would be guys like, I don't know if he's even still there, but a guy like Brett Baer, which is like a news guy. He's an actual journalist. They would categorize somebody like Hannity, somebody like Laura Ingraham, somebody like, what's your boy with the one facial expression? He only Tucker Carlson. Yeah, and so they consider those opinion guys. So if it's opinion, basically you can say whatever you want because you're not reporting the news.
Okay.
But all their primetime shows that get the most attention just so happen to be opinion shows.
But even opinion, the what they would call the opinion category of journalism.
Well, you still can't outright lie.
Right. Because
unsubstantiated claims.
The term in journalism is muckraking. It's what like when old school. I know this is very old school. When you were checking out of the grocery store, those tabloids that
before
you
Apple Pay.
Like, oh yeah, definitely. It's almost
in the 1900s.
This is when you had to stand there. The person in front of you was writing a check. It was like Globe, and there was a couple other.
Yeah, Sun, National Enquirer. There's always a question mark though.
And they would hide behind.
They asked a question.
A source.
Right. An unknown source. Right.
And that's how you get away. But like when you say
anonymous source, that's what it would be.
When you just say this is what it is, and you're
presenting it as this is a fact. Like, this is a fact. Like, this is from our journalism, whatever that is. This is what it is. And it's not. It's a lot of times it's circular reasoning. Like the MyPillow guy said something, and so based on what he said, then they hold it. Deep in the bed with the Republicans. Right. And so, that type of deal. But I mean, this is stuff they continue to assert. This isn't just like one time they said in passing. Right. They said it over and over and over and over again and made these claims. And so they had to pay and pay dearly. The worst part of it is that Dominion Voting Systems is not the only voting systems contractor for the 2020 election. Wow. So they have to pay Dominion $787.5 million. But there's another company called Smartmatic that has the same claim. So their lawyer's job just got way easier.
The same suit?
They filed a lawsuit in the New York State court in February 2021, and they're seeking $2.7 billion.
Oh yeah.
So they settled $1.6 billion for $787. So let's just say 50 cents on the dollar. So that means that most likely you're looking at paying out, $1.3 billion, $1.4 billion.
Because now you've set the precedent. So basically, it's like, hey, we'll take the same deal the other guys got, 50 cents on the dollar, or we'll take you to trial. Or we can go to court. And you could possibly lose 2.6.
Yeah. You can lose a lot more. And also, one of the terms of the settlement, they have to write this big check, is that they don't have to have any admission of guilt.
Oh, they don't have to say.
They don't have to say that they lied, even though it's on tape. Everybody knows they lied.
And the fact that you settled out of court, is,
right?
You're
right.
lied.
And so, what's interesting is that they put out just recently an ad about how trusted they are, and they're at 41%, and they're saying that they're the most trusted news outlet, but they only have 41% approval or a trustworthy rating. I mean, who says 4 out of 10 dentists recommend this toothpaste?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. It's usually 9 out of 10, right. 4 out of 5. Right. There's always that one guy that doesn't get along, but but the other 6 people don't get along, right. And that's what you're standing on.
Right. See, and here's what's messed up. Like, there's a bias or a tilt to all news stations.
Correct.
But I just expect you to be more, more integrous than that. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of like I understand that your approach may be different, but your aim should be the same in terms of the news outlet. Mm. Your approach may be different. You may come at it from a different perspective. You may highlight different things, but at the end of the day, the facts are the facts, and the goal should still be to report the facts. Mm-hmm. We've gotten to a point where it's not even. It used to be okay. Well, you're going to report the facts in light of your opinion. Now you're reporting your opinion in spite of the facts. You see what I'm saying? So we're, forget that fact stuff, forget that logic and reason and what reality, like what actually happened. We don't need all that. Let's just get on there and tell the story that we want to tell.
Wow.
And like a while back, they did not just with a news outlet, but they said, who's the most trusted news anchor? This is like 20 years ago. And the person that was perceived as the most trusted news anchor was Jon Stewart, who hosted The Daily Show on Comedy Central at the time.
Right.
So the person that was the most trusted news anchor in America wasn't the guy from NBC or ABC or CBS or Fox. It was a comedian.
You're right.
That's who Americans trusted most, that, hey, this person's going to tell us what it really is.
Right. Right. Which...
Crazy.
Not much has probably changed. Mm-mm. Not saying that it's still Jon Stewart, but...
Right. No. I mean, but if they ran it back, I mean...
It wouldn't... Right.
Right.
Trevor
Noah, already resigned from The Daily Show, so they don't have a steady host yet.
So but it might be,
but him, it could have been him while he was in the chair.
Right. And here's and I think this whole situation is the lesson for other, news outlets and outfits, much like Fox, even if you're on the other end, like a CNN or whatever. Like, it's okay to toe the line, but be careful, because that toe might cost you $780 million, to start. So there's sometimes we expect certain avenues and certain arenas to just call balls and strikes, and news has to be one of those that just calls balls and strikes,
right.
So
Well, see, and that's what it used to be. It used to be that running the news desk wasn't political.
mm-hmm.
Actually, it was great pains, and even like late night, talk show hosts as well. Johnny Carson, if you ever look at the old Johnny Carson, you couldn't tell if he was a Republican or a Democrat. You couldn't tell, and even Letterman and Leno, like, you didn't see it as much. But if you look at the late night guys now,
Right.
you know exactly where they are.
Right.
Because everything, is from that thrust.
Right.
So, I mean, now also things are more open. These guys all have Twitter. These guys all have their own social media. So it's easier to be known, what your political leanings are.
Right.
But, Cronkite wasn't concerned with this.
No.
Dan Rather wasn't concerned with this.
Right.
So, but nowadays, it's all about, the spin.
Right. Because, and staying in the good graces of people that you...
Because it's a machine. They realize, okay, well, hey, we got to feed the machine.
Right.
And it's this vicious cycle with the news media, the candidates, the politicians, the viewing audience. Everybody's got to keep everybody happy.
Right.
But that's how you get a situation where when you have Trump that comes in, and so then Fox is like, okay, well, we got to get behind Trump to get Trump elected. And then the people are watching this like, okay, well, we need to watch Fox News and we need to support them because they support Trump and so on and so forth. Then whenever even Trump backs down off of something, they look at Trump like, hey, you're not Trump enough. When he backs down from something, when he changes a policy, then they turn on him.
Yep.
In a certain way. Yep. Then you got people that want to out Trump.
Right.
I heard some politician talking about how, wanted to make sure that the voters knew that her newborn daughter already had a gun. Now what you know what I'm saying? Oh, she has a pony too. She can't even go to the bathroom by herself.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Right,
like,
right.
What does the matter with you? Why does she need to have a gun
or a pony?
Or a pony? You can't use either one.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? But that's the thing. It's like, it's just, the rhetoric of, hey, I need you to know that I'm so, conservative. My pets have guns.
Right.
My, underage children have guns. I've got 5 guns on me right now. It's like everything. I don't know, you ever seen Last Action Hero? This is an old movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. So he plays a character that's a cop. It's kind of like it's a movie about a guy that's in a movie and a kid has a magic ticket and gets him out of the movie into real life. Okay. There's this scene where he is having to remove all his firearms against the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to put all his guns down. And this dude puts the one gun down. He's like, come on, buddy. I know you. Get rid of the rest of the stuff you got. This dude is pulling guns out of everywhere. Guns out the boot, guns out the side, guns out the back, grenade, all kinds of different stuff just everywhere. And I mean, that's why there's literally more guns than people in Texas. You know that.
Right. Absolutely.
And in the country too, but the number's higher in Texas.
Right.
Because it's Texas.
Yeah.
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 So.
Wow.
I know that if somebody tries to invade this country, they're definitely they're not coming through Texas.
Yeah, don't start in Texas.
They're not going to start here.
Yeah. Start somewhere else.
They are not going to start here. We know that.
Yeah.
We hold these truths to be And so, yeah, buddy.
Yeah. That's just, I guess it's the nature of the beast. This is part of where we are. You know what? And I've been in a fog the last couple of days. I got something else I want you to check out too.
What's up?
That you have got to see this. It's a story of and since we're talking about news, I'm gonna find it and send it to you right quick. It's a story of a news guy in some little town in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Where did I? Oh, I know where it was. It's a little town in Oklahoma, and to catch some people talking about him, talking some negative whatever about him.
Him personally?
Yes.
Okay.
He left a recording device. In this room when like the county sheriff and whatever, and the recording device not only picked up, you got to see it. It's crazy, and you could tell from how it's presented. I just sent it to you on IG.
Okay.
You could tell from how it's presented. The town is basically white.
Oh, I think I found it.
Yeah.
Oklahoma officials recorded talking about killing reporters and complaining they can no longer lynch black people. What? Are you kidding me?
And here's why it was so amazing to me. Because that is a clip of the sound. It's crazy to me because I was like, why isn't this on the national news? So like
for it to lead, it's got to bleed.
But the governor is like, hey, that's not accepted. That won't be allowed. All of them need to resign, and that was it. But I'm like, why isn't that on the national? Like that needs to be on the national news.
I agree.
But again, so and I just thought about it in that moment. We'll spend time talking about what is not true on news outlets instead of time spending talking about what is true, what needs to be exposed.
Of course, because the news. Okay, so news outlets now is not the same as what it was before. Before, because of the lack of. You really had in the let's say in the beginning, but but back in the day, you had 4 channels. Really, you had 3. You started out, you had 3. When I was very, very young,
CBS, NBC, ABC.
That's what you had. When I used to go to my grandparents in Bro Bridge, 3 stations.
Yeah, 11, 13, 2.
And guess who was the remote control?
You.
Present.
Cook it.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, back in the rotary phone days. Y'all know, y'all little young Thundercats, y'all know about that.
Took you 15 minutes to call now.
Don't let, right. I gotta wait for this. Okay. But there's 3 channels. Yeah. That's what you had. And this was way before my time. But I've been told by those that came before me that there was a time that television went off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't remember
I've
that?
discovered
Well,
this.
you know what? Now
Reverend,
I'm
I'm not.
myself.
Yeah.
Let me stop. Let me stop. No, really?
I don't know
that. Really?
I don't know this from firsthand knowledge, but my research indicates.
Man, they used to. It would be playing the American flag. The American flag would be raised, and it would, Star Spangled Banner, and then it would be frowned.
Sign off.
Hey.
Yep.
The home of the brave.
Right.
Good night.
Right. Good night.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
a wrap.
That we knew TV's about to go off.
Yeah, it's time to go to bed.
Like when MASH came on.
My goodness. I've fallen asleep to so many MASH episodes back in the day. That's when it was. Yeah, it's about to go down. MASH
on one channel or Barney on. Yeah, I'm dating myself now. Let me stop. But yeah, I mean, and I guess in our attempt to stay available, you got to always have something.
Well, here's where I'm going is that before there wasn't as much communication. You didn't have it on an onslaught of information every day.
Just imagine this: you growing up, news all day long. CNN, news all day long.
No, everybody thought Ted Turner was insane. You're gonna do what? You're gonna have a channel that's on 24/7 and it's only news, no movies, no nothing. You're crazy.
So, and I think now,
obviously not crazy anymore. When now it's the norm
to cover that space. But that's what I'm saying. Like when you have stories like this that are not being discussed, you have news.
Well, this is what I'm saying is that what's different is that before it was, hey, let's get the information out to the people. Does that make sense? Because they didn't have the information. Now we have so much information. What it is how do we craft a narrative that we want people to believe? Does that make sense? So let me create and promote on my 24/7 cable news and on my local affiliates. Let's push the narrative that we want pushed. So if you have a conservative leaning network and a conservative affiliates, then you're going to push the narrative that you want that aligns with the values of your viewership.
Right.
Because that's how we have the echo chambers created, because this is what you say, because that fits the narrative that your audience wants to hear. The audience tunes in so that their bias can be confirmed.
Right.
So they're locked in to the dance.
Right.
They have to bring the narrative so that the viewers can have their bias confirmed. See, I saw it on the news. Does that make sense?
But my thing is just give me the news that's going to be informative, and whether you believe it or not, news that people need.
But here's the problem: they got to
travel this summer.
They got to turn a profit, Moten.
Okay, I get it.
They got to turn a profit.
I get it.
And here's the deal: so since they got to turn a profit, they need to maintain their viewership so they can sell the ads. Does that make sense? To the advertisers that want to present their products and services to the viewership represented by the ad sales rep to the ad buyer. Does that make sense? This is not free. Back in the day, the companies that owned news outlets, they didn't own it because they were going to get rich off of it. You see what I'm saying? Right. It was kind of like that was part of, almost like a public service. It's like if they broke even, great.
Right. Keep
but
us afloat.
Now, because of ad sales, ad revenue, it's like, hey, wait a minute, hold on, we can turn a profit. But the downside, does that make sense? The downside is that when you change something from a public utility to a for-profit business, then you're now subject to the motives of capitalism.
Right. Right.
And I love capitalism. It's great. It's the best system in the world. you very rarely see it in its purest form. And but whenever you see it, even in its non-pure form, you're going to get this situation.
Yeah. This is just disheartening on a bunch of fronts because there's certain stories like the one out of Oklahoma that people need to know.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's going to travel this summer.
This is news you can use. This is like Green Book stuff.
Hey, you need to know that the sheriff of this town in Oklahoma wants to hang folk like he used to. Who says in this clip, you'll hear it. You got to hear it after we get off. Who says in this clip he has 3 killers on speed dial right now?
Not the hitters.
Yeah, this
is like gang.
He talking about waiting for something to do. They waiting for something to do. That you need to know that because
for something to do.
That helps you plan around certain cities.
Yeah.
That and again, like this is a heart of people that have been elected that you would know nothing about if not for news stations. So to the guy that left their recording device in that room.
But see, look at who has the story. Bruce Willingham, who works for his family-owned newspaper.
Yes, it's a newspaper that does not have any online presence, and it's a newspaper,
right?
That doesn't go anywhere. So that's why when it got picked up by this woman, she's like,
I'm seeing it on AOL.
She's the one that pushed it that far. Mm-hmm. The video I sent you,
NBC
the woman
News.
She's like, this is not on any national papers.
This is insane.
And it never would have got that because this is just some, small town, whatever.
Stay out of McCurtain County.
Hey. So
govern yourselves accordingly.
Hey, see? Now, who doesn't need that information? Somebody right now listening to us is going, you know what? On our way to such and such this summer, we were going through McCurtain County. Mm-hmm. Don't go. Go a different way.
Go a different way. Goodness.
That's the news that we need. So,
yeah, that's all. It's about 200 miles southwest of Oklahoma City. So if you were going to Oklahoma City and you had to come from the southwestern direction, you might want to alter your GPS route.
Hey, and I got ties all through Oklahoma. This is just not good.
No, but again, if it doesn't fit the narrative. Now let that be a black commissioner, and talking about, hey, we need to.
Then it fits.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, international news.
Right.
There is breaking news out of Oklahoma, and it was published 24 hours ago, and you definitely haven't heard about it yet. Think the LA City Council mess, but like 1,000,000 times worse. Chris Willingham, a writer for the McCurtain Gazette, who are the ones who published this story originally. They are a print paper that has no online presence. He's suing the McCurtain County Commissioner and the sheriff and other people for defamation and threatening his civil rights. He left a recording device in a room thinking that he'd just find out that they had a secret meeting. What he captured instead was so much worse, including the parties involved threatening his life, like talking about hiring a hitman and lamenting about how they can't lynch black people anymore. Wasn't that such a great time to be a sheriff? Here's some of the audio that was sent to local papers but has not been picked up nationally. Released by McCurtain Gazette News, and following audio is distressing.
Like your job. I heard the other day said, I heard 10 or 12 people go to the sheriff. I said, fuck, let's get 20. They don't have a goddamn clue what they're getting into.
Oh, yeah,
not
because
this day and age.
But everybody.
I'm gonna tell you something. If it was back in the day, would Alan Marshall take a damn blackjack, whoop their ass, and throw them in the cell? I'd run for fucking sheriff.
Yeah. Well, it's not like that no more.
I know. Take them down here on Mud Creek and hang them up with the damn rope.
Yeah.
But you can't do
the
that.
Thing about it is,
they got more rights than we got.
What they really don't know is they.
And that's the thing about it. 20 years ago, I would have done something like that. But 20 years ago, I wasn't in a political position.
They're insignificant in my life.
Yes.
Really, they bring
The
that
old
to
saying
the
is, you
table.
know,
What goes around goes around.
it will. I told you it will.
Yeah.
I know where two big deep holes are if you ever need them.
I got an excavator.
And these are pre-dug. Yeah, but the thing of it is, you know,
We actually told the truth.
I've known 2 or 3 hitmen that were very quiet guys
Yeah,
and would cut no fucking mercy
yeah,
in Louisiana because it's all mafia around
Yeah.
Oh,
Louisiana.
yeah.
yeah. But here's the reality: if a hair on his wife's head, pursuing him's head, or any of those people that really were behind all that, if the hair on their head got touched by anybody, who would be the bad guys?
Who'd
Yeah.
you blame for?
Yeah.
Governor Kevin Stitt released this statement calling for their resignation. I am both appalled and disheartened to hear of the horrid comments made by officials in McCurtain County. There is simply no place for such hateful rhetoric in the state of Oklahoma, especially by those that serve to represent the community through their respective office. I will not stand idly by while this takes place. In light of these events, I'm calling for the immediate resignation of McCurtain County Sheriff Kevin McClarty, District 2 Commissioner Mark Jennings, Investigator Alicia Manning, and Jail Administrator Lyric Hendricks. This is why local elections matter. This is why you should read your local newspaper. I am working on a project to make that easier, which you should have access to in the next couple weeks. But national news isn't talking about this, so share it far and wide.
I get it, but I don't get it all at the same time. I just wish we were different. And then if we're not different after millions of dollars will be paid, then maybe they won't be different after this one, but maybe they will be different after the next $1 billion hit. And after after they lose $2 billion, maybe, maybe they will be different and they'll start a trend of,
Well, and I kind of hope that Smartmatics takes it to the trial and then wins. Because then it's like, hey, then they're going to have to be forced to take the stand, and it's going to be on legal record, we
lied, and you still got to pay.
Right. And even in the discovery process, a whole bunch of stuff has come out about these guys hated Trump's guts, didn't like him, thought he was bad for the party, tried to plead with him to, hey, this is going to be a problem, all these different things. So just in the process of discovery, so many things have come out.
That's why they didn't want it to go to trial.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why they're going to keep it out of trial, even with Smartmatic.
Oh, yeah, they're going to pay. Old Rupert. Old Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah,
Got to stroke that check, buddy.
Yeah. That'll be it to that. But they won't let it go to trial because too much will be said that will destroy them long term.
Oh yeah,
I don't think they'll
but I mean, it's one of those things, man, where if somebody is looking at Fox News and in light of all these different things, they still look at them as a trusted news source, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what anybody says, because all they're going to say is, oh, well, this is just the liberal media, and this is just, throw in whatever words that scare you. This is BLM, this is Antifa, this is everybody, even though it's their own Trump-appointed justices that are like, no, bro.
Right.
No.
Right.
No, this election wasn't stolen. 60 times your own people said, hey, bud, it ain't there. 60 times. 60 lawsuits regarding election integrity.
Wow.
And at least 57 were all Republican judges, and some of them were appointed by Trump himself. This is where, what's his name? Rudy Giuliani made a fool out of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, I mean, so some people, just need to accept, some basic facts.
Right.
And just get off the partisanship just for a little bit and just take a look at some stuff objectively. But the problem is, again, when you interrupt that cycle, it's like waking up a sleepwalker.
Right.
Because they're in this almost trance.
Right.
Does that make sense? That they gotta believe this because somebody has told them, hey, they're trying to do this to me, and if they can do this to me, then they're gonna do it to you.
Right.
You know, and it's like nobody's
Doing anything
to you. Nobody, or most people, the overwhelming majority of people, are just trying to wake up in the morning, go do an honest day's work,
Right.
come home and raise their kids, spend some time with their family, have something decent to eat, go to sleep, and do it again.
Do the same thing the next day.
And then maybe, every so often, after you've done that over and over, maybe a little getaway.
Right.
Maybe a few little fun things here and there.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
But it's like everybody thinks that there's this international cabal of people trying to make sure your toilet is low flow.
Right.
Come on, man.
Right. And one of the other things that have been a stick in the clog of the political wheel is where we stand on gun law and that whole thing. And lately there's been a trend of people just randomly being shot.
Yeah.
The other day, a biker was shot in the Woodlands, and then 3 more shot further up 45 at Highway 19. So whatever that was, apparently it was connected. There was an instance in Kansas City.
Yep.
I think a young man,
16-year-old.
Yeah. What, did he knock on the wrong door?
Knocked on the wrong door.
I think he was going to pick up his sister or something.
There was like 3 different. One where was a man shot and wounded 2 cheerleaders when one almost got into his car by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That was one, and that was one of the cheerleaders was actually at Woodlands Elite, which is
right
down the road from me.
Right.
And
actually, we have a friend who's connected. I believe her daughter's a part of Woodlands Elite.
Yeah, and so and then 3 days before that, someone was shot dead in New York when the car she was riding in pulled into the driveway of the wrong address. So you had someone just mistook one car for another. Someone turned into the wrong driveway, and then you already mentioned the 16-year-old young man in Kansas City. He was trying to pick up his siblings. Yeah. Right. And went to the wrong address, knocked on the door.
Yeah, I guess they text him the wrong address, or he couldn't see the address.
Or you couldn't see it. Yeah, I mean, things happen. So, I mean, the little numbers on the mailbox or on the concrete, those things fade. Sometimes it could be at different times of day. I mean, but it's just this heightened sense of they're gonna get me.
Man,
that's just not I can understand, and I'm a gun owner.
But see, and that's why
I understand. But
see, Shawn, that's
my
why
first instinct.
Sensitive.
If somebody pulled on my door handle, my first thought is not to shoot out the window. Does that make sense,
bro? Because I'm a gun owner, because I'm a sensible gun owner, I'm going to do everything in my power first. Right. If someone knocks on your door, that does not give you the license to unload. Right. Someone drives into your driveway, that doesn't give you the license to unload. If a girl opens your car door, that doesn't give you the, obviously she's doing it by mistake.
Right.
And even if she isn't, let's just say she's really is trying to do something. You telling me you can't physically restrain a young girl? You got to pull a gun?
Right.
See, here's my thing. My issue with and that's why I don't like our approach to gun laws and gun licenses now. Because if you're scary, you don't need a gun.
You don't need a gun.
The worst thing in the world for is to have a scary person with a gun. Because one of the things that and this was maybe a year ago, maybe a year or two ago, someone issue happened and it was caught on video, and a young man pulls his gun, and you could tell he was scared straight, and he closed his eyes and went to firing. He was scared. But when you're scared in that moment and you haven't had some quality training and you don't know, like, if you're scary, you don't need a gun no way. But if you're scared and not trained, you don't, like, it's just, we've become a country now where it's shoot first, ask questions later.
Well, here's the deal with the two cheerleaders that's even worse. Listen to the details of this. So one of the girls went to open the car door. It was open. Looked and saw there was a man in the passenger seat. Left and went back to her friend's car. The man gets out of the car, comes up to them. They roll down the window to apologize and explain the mistake. Then the man pulled a gun and fired into their car. So it wasn't a situation
where he's defending.
Where it's like, oh,
right.
He's defending.
Right.
She probably got in and got out before he could even.
Right.
Does that make sense? So this is something that you are like, it's over at this point. You chose, when there's no threat to your safety, to get out of your car, go walk over there, and discharge your firearm.
You're right. You're not under any threat at that point.
None.
So what you just did was, assault or attempted murder or what? Because that was not. See, I think at a certain point, and it started with certain other cases like a Trayvon Martin or whatever, where you
these
take
castle laws,
that self defense, like everything ain't self defense.
Right.
Someone knocking on your door,
right?
You shooting them is not self defense.
Right.
Someone turning into your driveway, it's not self defense.
Right.
Someone gets into your car by mistake, they have enough time to get out and walk away. You're under no threat.
Right.
Pulling a gun now for what? And then girls, like that. Just I think we just live. I remember coming up. Guys that couldn't fight, that would get you weren't good with your hands. You get older. You get a gun. Mm-hmm. Not everybody got, because you got a gun. Mm-hmm. Like, bro, if you can't, even if you were under threat, if you can't restrain a young girl, and they because they were in gymnastics, I know, their size. They were.
I'm gonna have that pops conversation. This will make you a man. Be a man without it.
Be a man without it. What are you doing?
I mean, it's like,
it's just, that's the fear. Like, that's just, and I don't like where we are because.
And the guy was 25 years old. This is not an elderly,
right.
This is not somebody that is,
Please tell me they charged him.
Oh, yeah. Charged with deadly conduct, a felony which can carry up to 20 years in prison and a maximum fine of $10,000. But he shot him at them both. One of them just had a graze, flesh wound, treated on the scene. But the other young lady, she got shot in the back and the leg. It was throwing up blood. They had to remove her spleen, and she has more surgeries to repair damage to multiple organs because she got hit in the back. So, more internal damage. So it's.
I don't, man. And those of us who are sensible gun owners, we know. Like, you're going to pull your gun as a last resort.
Right.
It's not going to be, no sensible gun owners walking around here going, I wish someone would.
Right.
Because
the wish factor.
Whatever you will do with without your gun, then you'll do it with your. So if you ain't going, I wonder what would he have done if he didn't have a gun. Would he have got out of his car and said anything?
Chewed gum.
So you should have stayed in your car and chewed your gum.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes no sense, and it makes the reason as to why we need to be very, very particular as to who we allow to carry guns. That's the reason.
Right.
So,
I just don't understand.
Your governor, I hope he hears and listens to stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
This young girl's life, she was a gymnast or a cheerleader or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, her life is going to be altered.
Right.
Like, she was in the middle of the prime of her life, working through a season or whatever. Her life is going to be altered because this fool had a gun.
Mm-hmm.
But the governor will say, well, everybody in Texas needs it. No, that's why everybody don't need a gun. Because even though you can carry one, you can't mentally, you're not in the mental capacity to have a gun. And so here's what we come out with. It's sad, man. I hate to see us here, but that's what happens when.
But see, that just goes, to show that this is what happens when you have leaders in the country that have big microphones, big megaphones, and they're setting the tone, they're setting the tempo, for this type of environment. We didn't have this before. We weren't here before.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only because of this hypersensitivity, and then also you add on top of that ease of access to firearms. And I mean, you have to have a license to practice medicine. You have to have a license to practice, in the court of law. You have to have a license to be an electrician, a plumber, to drive a car,
a license to fish,
to
do everything.
Why wouldn't you have a license?
It just makes no sense
to have a firearm.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
You see what I'm saying? And so, like, the stuff that happens at like these gun shows, man. I mean,
it makes no sense. And I know there's a lot of money, and I get it. And I get but see, and that's why I don't like capitalism, because when everything is about the dollar, like so now you'll overlook just what makes sense because you're trying to make money.
Well, I mean, here's the deal: is that I don't think that's really it's a capitalist thing.
You don't think?
No, it's a political thing.
You don't think it's driven out of capitalism?
Well, I mean, there's a profit motive. I mean, that's what drives American business. But what I'm saying is that they had gun companies before.
They did. What's the number one industry since the pandemic?
That's the number one industry?
The number one industry since the pandemic.
I don't think they make the most money.
They make the most money.
I'm pretty sure. Okay. I'm pretty sure oil is still making the most money.
Oh, okay.
Pretty confident.
I'll
I can look the numbers up, but I'm really confident that I don't have to.
I'm almost sure.
I'm sure that they have achieved, a lot of.
It was
sales
so bad.
Growth.
You couldn't even get any ammo for a year.
But I know that. But why is it though?
There were
people had guns before. People, all that different stuff before. So what drives it?
they sold like it.
What I'm saying is that why didn't this happen in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s,
because
anywhere in the 1900s?
Because your government.
Why didn't it happen in the first 10 years? And that's my point. Thank you. You just made my point. It's a political thing. So now it's like, okay, well, you're not a red-blooded American if you don't have an AR-15. What's the matter with you?
Okay.
If you're not prepared to go to war at any given time, if you're not wearing tactical pants to work, you're not a real American.
Okay. Let's just say I run a gun company. And I can name several, whatever. Let's just say I run a gun company. I shoot his campaign some money, whatever, knowing that he's going to come up with some whatever that, and he stands up and says, hey, look, everybody in Texas, needs a gun. He says that they sell an additional 4 million guns in 1 year. 4 million guns just in the state of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
It was so bad, you couldn't get ammunition anywhere.
Oh, I know. I remember. It was limited to one box per customer.
I'm talking about it was where it was none nowhere. It was so bad, the gun range that I go to closed because you buy your ammo from them. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get any ammo.
Right.
So they closed down. They couldn't facilitate even letting you come on the range. After they said, okay, listen, you can shoot, but only brass or only steel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, you can shoot your hollow points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, I tell you what, we ain't got no ammo. You can't shoot your ammo here.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that bad. So an additional 4 million guns just in the state of Texas. You don't think that had it was some money driven? You don't think dollars and cents was behind it?
No, I mean, of course they want to make money, but what I'm saying is that those companies already existed. It's only recently in the last 15 years or so that all of a sudden it's become so important, you see what I'm saying, to have a gun in every nook and cranny, all these different things that didn't exist whenever, I was growing up, but guns had been invented well before I was born.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So all of a sudden, even though there was the wide availability, people weren't going out and buying guns like that until it became a politically charged issue. Nobody cared until they said they're going to take them away. These people are going to take your guns away. Oh, I need more guns then. Because now, you've indicated to me that they may become rare in the future. So I need to buy more guns.
Yeah. I got one in every nook and cranny.
No, I get it.
I went to, I was at my boy's shop and I'm just, going through speaking, whatever, a couple months ago, whatever. And guy comes in and gets this, I don't know what this was.
Looked like it came off of Rambo.
Oh my God. I'm like, what are you getting ready for?
Oh, I'll tell you what they're getting ready for. They're getting ready for war.
Yeah.
They're getting ready.
Give me one of them.
Right.
Give me, if he got one, I want one.
Right.
Give me one of what he had.
Right.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't get where we are, where you can't use your words.
What I'm saying is that there's always been, every business has the profit motive. So that's not unique. That's like saying any business, oh, what a shock. They are here to make money.
Okay. But when it stops making sense, though.
But what I'm saying is that it's not the gun manufacturers or the gun store owners' fault that the politicians haven't gotten together to have gun reform in terms of having, every gun needs to be licensed and registered.
So you don't think the NRA has some influence on a pack that says, no, hey, don't y'all
Of course they do. But what I'm saying is that they're going to do what they're going to do.
Reform or
well, see, so again, this is where we are, and this is where we were not. Okay, so now you get into a whole nother deal in terms of the amount of money that's in politics and the lack of statesmanship. See, when you're a politician, back in the day, you were supposed to do what was the right thing to do the most good for the most people. That was kind of the gig. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Well, when you transfer it to now, it's okay, well, get yourself in a position of power so that you can enrich yourself and your friends. Then statesmanship doesn't matter. A politician has to take the money and vote a certain way for it to matter. They can offer whatever they want to offer. If someone says, hey, you know what? Hey, look, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, but I'm good. And then they vote in the interest of the citizens, then a new law will pass. All it takes is for a politician to have a spine.
What if it's not an individual politician?
Well, it's never one individual politician.
Because it's usually...
Well, the problem is we got George Santos's running around and you know, all these different people.
Hey, here's... Because no industry like the gun industry is going to approach politicians one by one.
But what I'm saying is that, okay, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at a different industry.
Galvanize the Republicans, and then the Republicans are going to say, hey, here's how we vote.
But eventually it gets to a certain point where it's so bad that it's indefensible. So like cigarettes, okay? Do you think that there wasn't a heavy lobby from Philip Morris? There wasn't a heavy lobby from the cigarette industry? I mean, but eventually it's like, hey, guys, this is so ridiculous. But it's indefensible.
That's proving my point, though.
No, it's proving my point.
Okay.
That eventually it got to a point where the politicians said, hey, look, man.
So what did it? What do you think did it? Too many people dying?
Well, I mean, you had the counterpoint also, you know, in terms of, you know, they lost, you know, several lawsuits and there was false claims made, you know, about, you know, the health effects and things of that nature. You know, there's actually a lawyer from Houston that made out really, 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 really well because he was a part of that legal team. And then eventually laws got changed. And then you have the ad council that you're running, you know, anti-cigarette, anti-drug ads. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The tide turned. So even though there was a profit motive from the business world, eventually it got to be a point where it's so bad the effects of the product that lawmakers had to make a change. Does that make sense? And so that's why I don't buy that, oh, it's just capitalism, whenever we don't even, the way the economic system works is that it's capitalism for the individual, but socialism for the corporation. That's the economic system that we have in America. It's pick yourself up by your own bootstraps, and it's a meritocracy for the individual. But if there's a particular corporation that makes bad decisions and gets itself in trouble, then it's socialism. Bail me out. I need a stipend. Give me a tax credit.
Hey man, look.
So it's
there's been too many mass shootings that at some point somebody has to have enough common sense to say what we've been doing is not working. Well, we need to do something.
Again, echo chamber. So the Republicans are the ones that have to move this forward because it's the issue that they support. They support Second Amendment, even though they don't read it correctly.
I don't even buy, because it's like, okay, right to bear arms is one thing.
As everyone part of a well-regulated militia.
But okay, but
all I'm saying is that if you're
something completely different.
No, I get it. But even if you take it as, oh, well, this is my constitutional right, bad boys. I know my rights. You know, so even if you take that, you got to take all of it or none of it as part of a well-regulated militia. But what a lot of people want on the right is no regulation.
That's what it is.
They want no regulation. They want the Wild Wild West. Cha-ching, cha-ching. They want...
What do you need to buy a gun in Texas?
ID.
That's it.
ID in 3 days.
That's it. That's it.
And some money. Yeah,
that's
you need
it.
money, but
if your felony is old enough to where it doesn't come up, if you know
and that's if you buy it from a legit
play. If your restraining
gun
order
owner
ain't been in the system long enough where it doesn't come up, if your mental papers ain't hit yet, like you can walk out with a gun, and in the state of Texas, you don't need a license to carry that gun.
Not at all. In Florida, you don't need a license to conceal carry. In Texas, my understanding is that you still need a license to conceal carry. But in Florida, they said, hold my beer. You don't need a license for anything.
And we're asking for trouble. We're asking for trouble. And again.
And Ron DeSantis is talking about building a prison next to Disneyland. Disney World. Because he's upset.
Land is in California, world is in. But to me, it's just.
Because he's upset. He's upset with Disney.
So I wanted to. Well, yeah.
That's a whole nother thing.
But I wanted to point that out to like as proof that not everyone that has a gun in their possession needs to have one.
No.
And we aren't doing a great job of weeding out,
and especially handguns. You know, because I mean, you don't every now and then you have a demonstrator that might walk around with a shotgun or a rifle strapped to their back. But it's the ability to hide, you know, the portability of a handgun, you know, that's the main thing, because you can kind of see somebody cut. Not that it helps them very much, but you know, but it's the handguns they're the main thing. And so my deal is like, hey, you want to have, you know, all this other type of stuff? Hey, that's fine, as long as you know, are a person that is of sound mind, and we don't have a reason to believe that you're going to do something irresponsible with it. If you just want to go in the woods and blow up Bud Light cases or whatever knock yourself out.
$120, you can get a high point as long as you got ID. That don't make no sense.
Hey, I didn't say it. Not no ID. I mean, I still feel like you should go through having there needs to be some type of licensure, some type of registration for a firearm. I mean, how is it you're going to have, you know, an automobile that you got to go through, you know, doing this stuff for, or for, like you said, a fishing rod.
How many people?
A dangerous hook that how many very sharp.
How many mass hookings?
Mass hookings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly.
Come on, man. This is just crazy. But we live in.
Yeah, because the school that we're worried about getting shot up isn't a school of fish.
Right. No, not at all.
And it's not. And the problem is not doors.
No.
It's not the placement of doors. It's not the amount of doors. You know. Maybe a kid's gotten a bloody nose from a door at best. Right. It's a gun problem. Right. But the gun problem is exacerbated by the political problem that creates an environment where people think they need to be armed to the teeth just to go around the corner of the grocery shop. And I live in an area where I see this all the time. I go to Kroger, I can go to HEB, and somebody have a Desert Eagle on their hip. No joke.
What are you expecting to happen?
No, yeah. No, I'm talking about, strapped to the leg, the whole cha-ching, the whole deal, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, hey, excuse me, let me get this catfish right here.
If you need that on you to feel safe, I'm fine with it. Just don't be a fool with it.
Right.
And that we got to create something to encourage not being a fool with it.
Yeah.
And that's what
part of it is that we can dial down a lot of the rhetoric. We can stop trying to have people to be made afraid of their neighbors just because of, some difference in terms of where they were born or the content of melanin that they have, or, all these different things. We can start there. There's something that happened, within the last 10 years that kind of excited all this up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It wasn't like that before. Even when you had people on different sides of the issue and there was degrees of, thought around what should be done and all the different stuff. But I think it's very safe to say that, hey, look, as much as we offer thoughts and prayers, at some point, human action ought to follow heavenly advice.
Yeah.
There's got to be the use of sound mind in solving some of these problems. And it's like, hey, look, we need to have everybody sit down and figure out some common sense stuff. Because, if we didn't have as many guns and it wasn't so easy to get, these things wouldn't be happening.
Yeah,
Sweden has more guns. Oh, I'm sorry, Switzerland. They have a bunch of guns, but they don't have these problems because people are well trained.
Right.
They introduce to the youth, hey, this is how you use a gun. This is how you be safe with a gun. Da, 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 and they don't have any of these problems.
Right.
They don't have any of these problems.
And hey, look, somebody knocking at your door, no problem. Now somebody climbing in your window, that's different. That's different. But what's wrong with using words? Hey, what's going on? What do you need?
Excuse me. Right.
No, that's next door.
Right.
Yeah. He goes home. You go to bed. Hey, there's no reason we should be having this many issues. So, and again, hey, help me. Help us. Contact your local politician and let them know. Give them your advice. Tell them, hey, we want common sense gun laws. And let's let our voices be heard. So a lot of this violence, this unnecessary violence, can stop happening. So, Shawn, you got anything going on this week? I know y'all got
we got
coming through.
We have Pastor Charles Allen coming through this Sunday, if this makes air before then. Also, Pastor Skinner is closing out the spring revival at Damon Wilkins.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw
Pilgrim
that.
Rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have their spring revival, and so on the 25th, Tuesday night. Yeah, so they had all the Tuesdays in April.
Okay.
Different preacher pastor voices, and so Pastor Skinner is closing it out. Okay. 7:00. So.
Okay, I'll do my best to go through there, visit. Dr. Wilkins and hear Pastor Skinner as well. I don't think I have anything close. We got some other stuff further out, but I don't think we have anything close. But I'll let us know. And please, if you have anything going on that's building our community, that's aiding our community, please send it in, and we'll definitely advertise it for you guys. If we talk about things that are tearing our community down, definitely want to lift things that are building our community up. Again, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends, family about us. If there's anything you want us to address, would like to hear how we address some things, definitely send those things in. As of airing today, Wednesday, my Lakers play tonight. So Lakers up. Yeah. LeBron. I know Shawn hates that. That's why I like it.
I don't. That's the thing, is that I don't hate it. I'm completely indifferent to it.
Yeah. LeBron, Ramon, James. Anyway, look out for each other. Take care of each other. Pray for each other. Always have is each other. And until we see you guys again next week, grace and peace.